Hi there, my name is Evelyn Weiss. I've generated over 33,000 paid subscribers and over 7 million in sales with my business that is focused on low-ticket online memberships and communities. In this video, I brought you a step-by-step checklist, exactly what I would do if I was to start a membership from scratch with no audience, zero assets in 2025. Without further ado, let's jump right in. Okay, as you can tell, I am super excited about this because we're going to get really, really practical. This is not hypothetical fluff. I actually went through the steps so I can show you how I do it rather than tell you how I do it, okay? So first things first, we have to make a directional decision. What is that? So a lot of people get stuck because they think that they have to get it right from the beginning, when I have learned over time that with memberships, with online communities, all you have to do, but also the thing you have to do to move forward, is to make a directional decision. I call it a North Star decision because it's just like you want to look up to the sky, you want to pick your star, and then you want to walk in the direction towards the star. Because only when you start to walk and make progress will you see the obstacles that are in front of the way, will you have the data from the journey so that you can correct the course over time, right? And maybe you figure out it needs to be the star next to the one that you picked, but you'll never find out before you start walking the path. What does that now mean, like practically? When you become a membership owner, the way that I teach it is that you monetize your personal growth journey, which means that you pick a desirable transformation that is valued on the market, means a lot of people want to transform in a similar way, right? A lot of people look up to the sky and say, I like this star too. That looks like a really, really pretty star, right? So you would want to pick that star. And how would you want to pick it for you? You would want to pick one that you also personally really like, right? Because you will spend so much time becoming and helping others to become that if you don't love the star, if you don't resonate with it, if you feel like, oh, this is, I think when I look at all the people, like this is the star that they want to go after, so let me interject and make some money, you will not be able to sustain the low ticket world, right? You have to have your heart in it and you have to love it. And you have to almost see it as an opportunity that the community that you build, the membership that you build, will be a forcing function holding you on the path, right? So it's almost like I want to pick a transformation that I'm personally so after, that I love the fact that I have people who I need to show up for, which in reverse will hold me accountable. I love this topic so much that I'm happy to spend a big chunk of my life pursuing this path and becoming this person. And that's why if I had to pick in 2025, I'm actually not sure if I would go with business coaching again. And the reason is that I feel I love what I do, like wholeheartedly, right? I have thousands of members I help every single month. I have my mastermind. I think it's a beautiful journey. And I still think that there is a lot to learn. But I also feel that there's more I would love to add to my life, right? So I'm very, very curious about other things, and I'll reveal some in this video, which is quite intimate, I think. But it's like, if I was to choose now, after I have kind of stilled my hunger in the other path, I would not necessarily go with business again, just because if I was to reset now and say, what journey am I most excited about in my life right now? It'd probably be the one that I'm choosing in this video. Go after excitement, go after the things where you already spend a lot of time, go after the things where you feel like, oh, if I had to hold myself, I think like a part of a hero's journey, if we want to frame it like that, is the hero also becomes the hero because the eyes are on him. I'm watching right now the Sonic movies with my son. Like he's really, really very much into Sonic. The first one, I think I've watched it more than 5 times at this point. And when you kind of look at this, when Sonic becomes the hero and he stands up to Eggman, it's that part of the journey where he protects his family as well. So of course he stands up for himself, but the real power, right, the real kind of the anger and the source that he becomes the source of power within. He finds this within himself, right? It was there, but it was dormant. He finds it because there's also others to stand up for, right? And this is where we find a lot of courage, and this is where we find a lot of purpose and meaning and energy from within. Pick something where you want to see yourself standing up for others and becoming that, because you think it's worth standing up for that, right? You think it's worth making a cause for that, because like I said, otherwise you'll not find the energy to sustain it. I'm gonna close this with like a last one, right? You want to find something that you enjoy so much that for you it's play while it's work for others. Nobody can outwork you if you enjoy it so much that you do it anyways, and helping others is just a cherry on top, because now you're forced even more to becoming even better at this, to being even more consistent with it. That's the kind of direction that you would want to go with. All right, so now that we have this out of the way, and by the way, as humans, we're all like very, very similar in that regard. So if you're burning about this journey, then don't worry about market validation just yet, because very likely if you're so excited about it, there's another collective of human beings that are also really excited about it. It will then just be your challenge to find the messaging and the frame in your marketing. But that's totally doable once you start actually walking the path and getting the data and analyzing and optimizing relentlessly on this journey. The next piece that we need to do is start collecting pieces that feel important, right? So when you have your North Star, and this is really a place you have to find within yourself, you don't even have to be able to articulate it yet. You just have to be like, this direction, right? And as soon as you have this direction, what I'd like you to do is start to collect this direction. Here's an example of what this looks like, right? So I really challenged myself for this video to say, if I was to start from scratch again, right? And there's no limits, there's no using my unfair advantage and expertise. It's just like purely where I would love to grow in over the next years of my life. I'd go with a mixture of spirituality and health, right? And you can see, so after I was like, okay, if I was to make my North Star decision again from scratch now, where would I go? And then I went in and I collected all pieces of content that felt kind of important to it. It developed, right? And this is an iteration. You have to explore it, right? You have to almost be like an artist. Just have to be really curious and say, does this feel important? Why does it feel important? I picked some pieces out that felt really important for my North Star, and the overall brand that emerged was like a conscious effort. I know that I am about effort and I'm about doing the work, and I'm a very analytical and data driven person, and I've been rewarded by reality many, many times to use the scientific method, right? Make the hypothesis, put it in action, gather the data, optimize. I'm an advertiser at the end of the day, right? So I very much know this. And at the same time, I have very much the experience as well that there are other things that matter too, right? And so, for example, when does an effort become more conscious, right? So that's the effort piece, but the consciousness piece is, for example, I am very interested in science around consciousness, and I'm very aware that there's blurry lines, right, between scientific understandings, explorations of consciousness, and things that might go too woo-woo, right? And so I'm consuming a lot, and I'm trying to really form my opinion around that. And there's certain people like Michael Singer, for example, that I like listening to, because they translate certain aspects very well back to reality. So I felt that for this journey that I'm on, this felt really important. One thing that I, for example, translated back from those things into my business is fighting with reality versus appreciating and seeing and taking in reality, and then riding the wave with it, right? And basically working with the reality towards a certain outcome. And so this is something that I think I can translate in a very unique perspective, as in how it translates back into making progress in basically any area of life, right? So that's why I collected it and put it here, and just put like, here's why this piece feels important. And then I'm very much into stretching, that idea of relaxing into the pain, relaxing into the discomfort. It's something that I see like in my physical health, as well as I see it in business, right? Relaxing, like pushing for the discomfort, pushing for the breaking point, and then relaxing into it, right? So these are things that people talk about, where I have like a unique reference experience with it, and I feel like I can translate it well for the North Star that I have, right? And as you can see, this is not like super articulate thoughts at this point. It's just me creating basically a map of things that are meaningful to me because of the experiences that I had in relation to this North Star that I'm going after, right? So have your mental minimalism and physical minimalism, like what has worked for me over the last years, becoming fit again after birth, after having C-section, and then staying fit. And as an entrepreneur, that's also a mom and like really busy. So I've been very much like minimalistic about it. Then a few like workout things that worked for me, that also kind of tie in with the like things that I'm learning from business, where I'm over or have been overdoing things similar to how I've been overdoing things when it comes to working out or moving my body. So finding that balance and working a lot more with the energy, right? With being deliberate, being very intentional. So I basically just collected these things all the way down to how I'm using journaling and writing and tracking and keeping track of my thoughts to help my poor mind, that has to carry so much and is constantly, trying to make me happy. How do I help that thing to stay on task? And I've used a lot of things here in business that I then incorporated in my personal life, in my personal fitness as well. So I felt this was really important. And for you, this probably doesn't make any sense because you don't know my North Star yet, right? And you don't know why those things are meaningful for my journey, but that's okay. You would just want to bring everything where you think like it's meaningful onto a canvas. And this is almost like a version of a vision board for the transformation. Like, how do I want to walk kind of towards where I want to go? What are the unique experiences and thoughts that I consider to be meaningful based on my experience? So bring it all together and don't worry about it not fully making sense, right? Just try to align it how it kind of feels in your head. For example, working with reality cause and effect, that feels very much aligned with me towards tracking exactly what you do. Here it's kind of going in a mental space. So this is just how it feels for me. For you, it will feel differently, and there's no right or wrong way to lay this out. It's just to get it out of your brain and basically being able to revisit this. And this can and should grow over time as well, right? So this is kind of your visual mind map. Now, once you have this, you would want to record a transformational hypothesis. And basically what I do is I use a lot of recording myself because I think it really gets at the deepest thoughts, and I can close my eyes and I can just surface the words, but I don't care about it making sense at all. I would basically just record myself. This was 8 minutes long. I wouldn't do it longer than 10-minute chunks because then we're going to process this with AI, and after that it gets wonky. So you see me basically now speaking to the different elements, like why did I put it there, what do I see here? And it was really cool. Like when we're going through the transcript, you can see that somewhere here, because the middle can be like the mental middle, getting into the seat of consciousness. It can also be the focus of the middle on the gut, healing and showing the connection between the gut and the middle, and also the vacuums as entry to breath work, also to stabilize cortisol levels, which then helps with the lower belly, which is really the womb, which is where we are giving consciousness as women to the world, kind of. And that was my epiphany when I was walking through, and you'll see something like this will happen for you when you just walk it through. I was like, holy cow, this all comes back to like the middle. Here's the common thread. Here's the story that I can tell to get people on this journey with me. And the journey is always so much bigger than the transformation somebody buys, right? When somebody signs up for Grow with Evelyn to grow their business with me, you're in for one hell of a ride of skill development and insight and getting to know yourself across the spectrum. That's just how entrepreneurship also works. It's the biggest personal development journey, or one of the biggest personal development journeys that you can go on, right? The elements of our lives, they're not happening in isolation, even though we're thinking in our head, oh, if I can just figure out the business part, everything else will fall into place. No, you'll try to figure out the business part and you'll realize that you have to get other things in order to figure out the business part. And that's how things are getting in order. But it's not typically that, oh, I solved the money problem and then all other things are gone. It's more that at least those people that are in it for the long run, they're building a business and the business is kind of forcing them to becoming a certain person. And that can, if you're very mindful, also develop you in many other areas. It's never isolated. It is just from what angle do you want to look at the personal growth journey, right? And we can tell the story from any angle that is desirable for people. And this started to emerge, right? So you'll record your thoughts and you'll see that eventually, if you've collected enough materials, and this can be for some people, this can be a 2-week process, just leaning in, trying to connect with the North Star, consuming content, trying to see like, does it fit in? Where does it fit in? What seems significant for me? To eventually the data condenses to the point where when you again do your reflection about it, you're having this epiphany and you're like, that's the intuition. That's the piece that is making sense. That's the common thread that I was looking for. I've been doing it so often for so many people that I can very quickly kind of see where the pattern, this is pattern recognition basically, right? Where's their pattern? And that's kind of what you're looking for because you have that within you because you've been a consumer, right? If you've not been a coach, you've at least been a consumer of coaching and you understand when things are a thing And when things are not a thing for you just yet, it's just because you haven't gathered enough data and processed it enough inside for the pattern to emerge in your mind. We're just at the phase still where we're making the first hypothesis so we can start to walk in a direction. Okay, once you have that, you'll see the pattern emerging, and this will be the specific problem that you want to solve, right? So once I had this, I crafted a before and after. Once I understood like the common thread is the middle, right? It's the frame that I can put for the consciousness, for the mind, for the body. Then I was going in, and I feel like a little bit ashamed talking about this, I have to honestly say, right? Because I'm so like usually only talking about business, but it's like what I really care about, right? And who knows, in a few years from now, I might retire my business coaching and do that. What you want to do after is go with your big vision that you have created with the transcript to your favorite AI. Claude is acting up for me at the moment. I was such a Claude fan, and now I'm back to ChatGPT. Probably when it has a bad day, I'll go back to Claude. But what you want to do is go to your favorite AI, use this prompt. This is the big vision for my new coaching brand for. And I saw that with this middle messaging for me as a mother, also, right, I have a different relationship with my body, with my womb, with my middle, with the consciousness, being basically the seat of consciousness being the middle. I don't want to kind of get too much in detail with you, but I was like, okay, this is the path, and I can probably best speak to women in midlife who are similar to me, right? They might be very ambitious, maybe also mothers, right? Or at least interested in that journey, and maybe, struggling with how to integrate their physical well-being with the big ambitions and passions that they have in their life. So I was saying, this is my big vision for my coaching brand. I want to start with a program called, put the name in there, please define my before and after and suggest 3x3 different ways to bridge the before and after with modules. Okay, so here's my example. This is my big vision for my coaching brand for women 35 plus. I want to start with a program called The Middle. Please define my before and after and suggest 3x3 different ways to bridge the before and after with modules. Okay, so here's my result. The middle, before and after transformation. Before, the stuck middle, feeling physically stuck, weight gain around the middle, gut issues, tension in the body, mentally rigid, struggling with control, stress, overthinking, emotionally overwhelmed, using food, busyness, and distractions to suppress emotions, seeking, and this is like right on my before, seeking validation, chasing goals on external expectations rather than internal truth, exhausted and disconnected, drained by unsustainable efforts, feeling like something is missing. After, the aligned middle, physically balanced, strengthened core, improved flexibility, and healthier gut, mentally agile, able to relax into discomfort, let go and work with reality, emotionally liberated, no longer suppressing emotions but processing and releasing them, internally validated, aligned, goals driven by inner wisdom, not by external approval, energized and empowered, feeling lighter, clearer, and at peace with body and mind. So, and then it was like, from what you described, it sounds like the middle is about physical mastery, gut health, core strength, flexibility, mental agility, letting go, minimalism, consciousness work, energetic flow, breath work, emotional release, wombism. So I was like, whoop, that's good for me as a starting point. And so this is basically the first hypothesis curriculum that it then created, middle curriculum, structured as a three-phase journey. And this will not be like, if I was actually to do this will not be the final curriculum, right? This is just for me to have a piece where I can keep refining on, right? So I want to have like a first, that sounds somewhat right. So I can start to work in that direction and make progress in the direction. The real ultimate version will always first be informed by my actual transformation that I make. And I talk about that in a second, but then also the transformation from other people. So what I really realized being a low ticket coach for so many years, a lot of high ticket coaches who are comparatively just work with a few people, right? I have worked with tens of thousands of people in my membership. When you are helping tens of thousands of people, you're getting so humbled, as in your transformation intelligence. Because when you have accomplished something for yourself, you tend to be a little bit cocky, right? So it's like, I've done this, been there, done that, right? But that's not true, because you have been there, done that with your specific prerequisites and privileges. You have been there, done that, being the person who you are, with the mind you were gifted, with the physical abilities you were gifted, with the upbringing that you have, with the skills and natural tendencies that you have, with the resources you have, right? Somebody else comes from a completely different place. And the more people you help, the more you realize how different the place can be. For example, I have been a really good writer early on because I've been a bookworm growing up, right? My dad used to call me Lisa Simpson. I've been a bookworm. I loved to read. I wrote my first book with 8 years old. I've always loved to write. This is a massive asset that I have in my business and a big skill that I was bringing. Now in my communities, I've learned that, for example, helping someone to be a better writer, I could spend my whole life doing just that, right? Trying to help people just with just quote unquote that. The more people you help, the more you appreciate how little solution intelligence you have about something, and the more you realize how much really goes into transforming someone. And when you have often some high ticket coaches, right, have helped a few people, maybe they have helped hundreds, right? Out of that, maybe they had a stellar success rate of 10 high flyers super duper results. Then their own results and the 10 super duper high flyer results is where they build all their confidence on, right? And everybody who cannot make it, well, they just have not been committed enough, serious enough about this, right? They didn't want it enough, or I just saw that this is not typically how it works, right? And so when you're creating your curriculum, when you're creating your methodologies, you need to know it's like a living, breathing entity. And your goal needs to be to go through that journey, to validate it against your reality, but then to help as many more people as you possibly can to also walk the journey, right? Because with every person you help to make progress, you're collecting another piece of what it's needed, right? And so you're collecting more and more solution intelligence, and over time you're able to help more and more diverse people to keep making progress on the journey. And that's the reality that you're validating this curriculum against. So it will always be a piece in progress, which means that as soon as you have a first hypothesis, you can move forward because you need to do it yourself and you need to help other people to make it better. Okay, so my first hypothesis looks like this: middle curriculum. First phase is reset the middle, with mastering reality, working with reality, not against it, understanding cause and effect, with weight, stress, and why weight, stress, and emotions accumulate, releasing control and perfectionism, the shift from force to flow. This was so big for me personally. Mental minimalism, letting go of unnecessary effort and overcomplicating, also a huge personal learning curve. And it has this from the loom that I recorded, right? Gut reset and metabolic balance, healing the gut-brain connection for digestion, clarity, and hormone balance. This is something where I still feel very insecure. I've done like research for me personally, but if I was to roll this out, I would need to be first further educating myself and then be very clear as in where my boundaries are, because I'm not a certified nutritionist. And it might make sense. I have a beautiful member in my mastermind who is specialized in gut health, to collaborate with somebody I could bring on a topic like that, right? So also thinking when you're doing this is like being resourceful, right? What resources do I have? Where can I get certain other resources? Where does it not make sense for me to go out and acquire this kind of depth of knowledge, but it makes sense to collaborate, for example? Then simple eating shifts to stabilize cortisol and insulin. Again, something where I would validate like my ideas with an expert to bring something in how stress and emotions impact belly weight and what to do about it. Breath work for immediate reset, the role of breath with weight loss, emotional release, and energy flow. Introducing vacuum breathing, diaphragm activation, and stress reduction. Second phase would be about strengthening and reclaiming the core with building core stability, mastering flexibility, and releasing tension, and then releasing the weight. Here is kind of where I would want to do the most work because it's just not aligning with like practices that I'm doing right now. But I would also make sure to up level my practice, right? So it's like you dance differently when people are watching. So and that's a good thing, right? So exposing yourself to the eyes and judgment of others, I think there is actually quite a bit of value in that as well. And then we would have deliberating and integrating lasting change, creating the space, embodiment, and living the middle. There's a lot of things that I also find really, really aligned. But again, this I felt like was really strong. And then this is where it gets foggy. And this is also where it's like still a little bit foggy. But it is close enough for me to say, you know what? I have a before and after, and I have a hypothesis with which I can work now next, as in what does now what do my first steps towards the North Star now look like? We can use this prompt and create a transformation tracker for ourselves, right? So I'm committing to this curriculum in draft. Now, can you generate a full daily tracker that I can follow consistently for 30 days to make the shift happen for myself? I want to document every step of the journey and gain all the knowledge I need to deliver a first version of this program for others. The tracker should include all daily actions I need to perform and check off each day. These actions should remain the same for the entire 30-day period. Additionally, below the tracker, please create a study and knowledge work plan outlining the key areas I need to research further. This plan should help me develop a comprehensive proprietary body of knowledge to support and refine my program. Okay, so you have to walk the talk first, set an ambitious goal, go for it. And this is what the tracker that it created for me looks like. So the middle 30-day tracker. I switched then to calling the program the middle, and then middle mastery, because can you believe it, the domain was free and I just had to buy it. Okay, so here's the daily action that it defined for me. Morning ritual, 5 to 10 minutes, vacuum breath work, plank hold, mindset check-in. What do I need to release today? So I would refine this based on what I already do. In the morning when I get up, I drink my warm water and I have a smoothie. And then I have some time with my son before he eventually goes to kindergarten. And then before I start to work, I start to do some exercises. And I also do some exercises throughout the day. So I would just adjust this. I also do have a tracker throughout the day, keeping my mind in check and basically falling back and relaxing into the moment. So I would just adapt this to the routine that I have, where I'm actually, just tracking like how often do I feel discomfort coming up? How often can I relax into the situation? I do have mantras that I use on a daily basis. So I would just tweak this to be an accurate reflection of what I already do, but also taking some of the things that, it gave me as pointers to incorporate. So mindful meal selection, for example, with this, I'm not super on top right now because when my husband is not there, it's easier for me, right? So we often have to live months at a time apart. And so when he's not there, because I have like I already love eating healthy, right? And I have go-to meals and he hates all of them. So of course, when he's there, I also want to make things that he enjoys, right? And so I have not fully detangled this just yet. So that is a problem I need to solve and kind of detangle and make sure, the go-to meals kind of work more for the whole family. So I don't put myself kind of last. But see, then when we have the tracker, we can kind of consciously think, right? What problems do I need to solve to actually make this happen? And the cool thing is the people that you later help, they'll have the same problems. And then you can say, okay, so I've been there, done that, and this is what happened. So for example, for myself personally, I already have the meal selection down, but I struggle to implement consistently because I haven't fully worked out how it works with my family. That's also because this is not, full priority right now, which when it's your program, right, and you hold yourself like that, you can dedicate a different amount of focus to it. Hydration check, that's clear. I love the idea of having an awareness journal and kind of incorporate even more mindful eating into this. That's something that I definitely would do. My stretching routine is not as consistent yet. And I have, for example, not yet made one specific stretch goal, but I think it would be so fun to have a middle stretch goal and it would just align with the topic. And I also know that it's something that a lot of women eventually want to learn, right? And it would be a beautiful way also to measure progress throughout the program. So that's why I think that that's a good idea. And I would then look into adapting a stretching routine that I can fit into my other kind of minimalist workout things. And I would tweak probably like the overall workout that I do a little bit more towards the core, which, there's exercises that I love to do, not like on a daily basis, but at least like once a week where I could just put more focus on it. Okay. And then the journaling prompts, I would also refine based on what I already use. And then the daily kind of study working on the body of knowledge is something that I'm not doing at all, right? Because I've so far like only been doing things for myself. But if I would plan on turning this into a membership, I would need to get on the work of it. I have my personal journaling routines, but they kind of are all over the place, mixed with my business as well. So I would kind of probably detangle this a little bit and really focus on when I am collecting experience for the specific avatar, what does that documentation routine need to look like? So here you can see then it gave me a research and study plan, which I fully agree with. These are things where I would then need to really do some very in-depth research to underlie the findings that I have for myself. I do have a lot of resources I consume, but often I've consumed them like a consumer, not like a scientist, right? I didn't compare, I didn't check their footnotes, right? Where's this information coming from, etc. And I know, especially in this day, in this area, there's a lot of opinionated content out there. So I would really dig deep and see, can I find studies about this? Where do I rely on the information that I would get? I fully agree with this. And what I would start to do is basically every single day, then after I've been through the day, record a loom reflecting on the progress that I've made with the daily tasks that are every day the same, working towards the goal, and with the explorations that I have, right? The things that I looked into more from the study guide. And that work will help me to create my body of knowledge. But before we can do that, we need to now have an audience that we can process these pieces of progress with. The next step is to take the materials that we've gathered so far and draft a copy of our offer. Ultimately, we want to consolidate all of the experiences into a package of sellable knowledge, into a starting point for our membership. And to be able to do that, we have to follow my sales page first method. I always say sales page first. I do have a prompt. It's my ultimate sales page creation prompt that basically helps you with the sections that I want to see in every single sales page, in every single offer page. And here you can see what this looks like. This is from Grow with Evelyn: a clear audience call out, the bold promise, a summary of what they get, 5 pain points before section, 5 benefits after section, my solution discovery story, which I'm literally writing now as I go, a listicle summary of what they get, and then FAQs. So we're going to use this to then have an outline for the program. And this is, we don't even want to bother too much with it right now. We just want to read it and correct it to a first hypothesis. So I have a first hypothesis here. Middle Mastery, a transformational program for midlife women ready for true alignment without forcing, controlling, or chasing external validation. Instead, honor your body's wisdom, align with reality, and experience deep transformation. I'm like, blah, 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 blah. This is not necessarily what I want to say, but I know that my task for the next 30 days as I'm walking through this is to come back and say, who am I talking to? How do they self-identify? Like what is top of mind for me? Over the next 30 days, I'm expanding this. I'm leaning into this. I'm doing the daily work and I'm doing the research. And I keep going back and looking at this page and be like, who am I really talking to? What is the bold promise, right? So what is the promise of this? Like, what problem do I really solve? What do they need? What do I really need to give them to make this progress? What is the essence that it boils down to that makes the change in reality? What are the aha moments I have? What are the things that really move the needle, right? So it's my work, my body of work over the next 30 days to keep on task, right? Refine this to what I'm actually doing. Document, like, why am I actually doing these things? Research, like, does it make sense to actually be doing these things? Do I need to change something, right? So it's my chore to optimize these things, document alongside, and then collect everything, right? The pieces of knowledge that I gather. Where do I have my research from? Where do I have the studies? Let this grow, and then always come back to this offer page, right? And refine my hypothesis here. And this is really how you write like a good sales pitch and how you write a good offer. This is like you have a first hypothesis, but then it's a week's worth of work, but then it's a year's worth of work, right? So when I wrote my sales page for the Coach Growth Hub, I was launching it to an existing audience. I had a lot of transformation intelligence already built up, but then that original page over the years where I was running the ads directly to it, it's changed significantly, right? Because I would keep learning about the transformation. I would keep refining it. And the same is with you before you go out with your first offer. You can just have this first hypothesis. And I want to show you another first hypothesis sales page. So right now, I'm currently running a beta program for how I'm using my Almost Evergreen workshop. This is the sales page I send out to people. I just told them I recently did this. So that's why I decided to develop this program. Every week we'll have a knowledge piece, an implementation, co-working session, a feedback session. Here's what we'll cover each week. This is what the price will be. My ultimate sheet will look like this, the first beta version. But this piece of sales pitch copy is what I need to get clarity on, right? And this is why we're writing it. It's because we need to have the full clarity of the vision of exactly how we're going to help people, exactly what we want to say, right? And so by keep coming back and keep having this conscious effort of exploring and deeply understanding and verbalizing, articulating the transformation, you'll be able to sell it and deliver it and actually help others then, right? So you need to form it within you as you're walking the talk. So this is the base kind of chore document that you keep shaping over the next 30 days then when you're on your journey, so that by the end of the 30 days, you have a document you can present to your audience that you've then built up. Once you have the first version of this, you have hypothesis enough to create now a list builder, a strategic freebie, a tangible that will allow you to filter the right type of people and funnel them onto a place where you can re-reach them and take them on the journey with you. For me, the best thing to do is email marketing and use Facebook lead generation campaigns to build your list. It's what I've done in 2020, and it's what I've helped so many people with when it comes to building and then eventually monetizing the audience. And it's still the number one go-to because we can directly target a lead. The campaign objective already sends you people who are leads. That means in market for what you have to offer. And because your strategic freebie filters, they are now also in market for the specific transformation that you have. So let me show you how to then get to a strategic freebie. Now, at this point, you already had quite a bit of conversation with chat or with the AI of your choice. Now you want to come after this here and get your freebie prompt up. The freebie prompt goes as follows. What mini journal affirmation checklist can I use to kick off my personal journey? Give me X amount of prompts, affirmation points, right? What mini journal can I use to kick off my personal journey? Give me 10 prompts. And so now you can see what it eventually gave me, right? So middle awareness journal, I would call it the middle journal, a conscious effort journal, right? Tailor it a little bit more. And then the prompts that it gave me was, where do I feel most tension and discomfort in my body? When was the last time I truly felt at ease in my body and mind? What's the relationship with my middle? Gut, core, posture, emotions, suggestions? What's my default response to stress, control, avoidance, numbing, or something else? Do I feel physically strong and stable? Do I feel weak, rigid, or disconnected? How often do I push through exhaustion, pain, discomfort? What's one pattern I keep repeating that I know isn't serving me, but I do it anyways? So what I would do is I would now work with this journal to refine it. So what I would do is I would use these prompts for myself, see what comes up, and when I struggle with a prompt, I would probably go back and say, here's why I struggle with this prompt. Here's why I think it's not fully relevant for the transformation that I want to offer. Can you suggest a different prompt for me, right? So you need to prototype it a little bit. But once I have the final version, guess what I have? I have the insight as in exactly why I created this journal and what came up for me. What I then can do is I can refine this and I can record a video walkthrough of the journal where I present the big vision of what I'm working towards. So I am Evelyn, right? This is what I'm into. Here's the current protocol that I'm sticking with. Here's why, and here's a journal that I use to kickstart my journey in this protocol. And so I've refined it, so it does make a lot of sense. And I want to walk you through the questions that are in there, why they are in there, and I want to give you kind of a few insights as in what came up for me that might be potentially helpful for you, right? And then I have the first free resource that I can give out as a lead magnet to grow an aligned audience and to build connection quickly through the video. So I would design and mock up this journal, and then I would start to run Facebook ads to it. So let me just show you what this looks like. When you're in your ads manager, you say create, leads, continue. And then if you still have the option, you would want to go either with tailored leads or with manual setups. I would need to go with manual setups because I want to target women. This changing might already be different in your account, so we need to link to the Facebook update video. Now here, what you would want to do then is select instant forms for the campaign. In my targeting, I would target the countries that I want to target. So I would probably do United I would do all tier 1 countries, which basically are these ones here. I would add them here to Ads Manager. And then what I would do further is switch to original audiences here, use original audience. And then because I want to work with women, then, that are 35 plus, and probably I don't say midlife. I don't identify as midlife. I might be, I am with 35, but I would say 35 plus women, right? Maybe I wouldn't even talk to that because I would attract them naturally. I think I might not too young and keep it open. I don't necessarily see why I would need to call out midlife specifically. I don't think it would serve me for the type of person that I want to reach. Woman, uncheck this, next, and then I would set up my ad. And so I quickly want to show you what a form ad looks like using another strategic freebie that I have. So I have this beautiful resource here where I'm giving away templates for school. You can see this is the ad. So I would mock up the journal in a similar way. We have a ton of, nice mock-up templates. And then when people click on it, it says, hey, what's the best email to send you your journal? In this case, people would agree to the privacy policy. And then on a thank you page, I would say, hey, just one more step, right? Check out in here on this one, I send people to my interview that I did with Alex Ramosi because it's highly relevant for school. Then on my ad for the journal, I would send people to the video that I created, walking them through the journal and how to use it to create that connection. So what that also means is when we are setting up ours, after we create our strategic freebie, in order to set up the ads, there are a few steps that we need to do in between. We need to set up a MailerLite account, right? I love MailerLite. I'm switching from ActiveCampaign. They're obnoxiously expensive. Here you'd want to go log in to your account, create an account. Then you need to do a basic setup where you just verify your domain. MailerLite really gets you through all of that very quickly. And after that, you want to set up an automation where when somebody subscribes to a group that's named after your freebie, they get an automatic email with the delivery of the journal, right? So here you can see this email. Hey, welcome. Here's your free journal. You can access it here. Hi, this is me. Background as it is relevant to this offer. So I would not put too much in here. I would just say, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a mother, I've been taking care of my body like this, right? And right now I am challenging myself to a middle protocol to get mentally and physically and with my consciousness in the middle again. Then I would send them not to a waiting list because I don't need to do that. I would just send them here, hey, watch this video that comes with the journal. And basically that's it. I don't have any other resources, built up for them right now. But as I create more videos, I would try to do that and to build some more credibility around myself and create some bonus resources as I'm walking my path and having byproducts from walking my path anyways, from recording my looms every single day, right? When I have a loom about a specific day with a specific thought where I research something, I can take that loom and I can again turn it into a checklist or into a cheat sheet or into affirmations. And so over time, I would add more resources to this welcome email. When you have set up your MailerLite account and your delivery automation, you also need to create your YouTube channel and upload the walkthrough of your freebie, right? Because we want to immediately have that second long form content touch point to create a relationship. Then you'd want to set up your Instagram and Facebook profile. I talk about what to post in a second. Then you would want to set up your lead generation campaign, what we talked about, right? Because you need your Facebook and Instagram profile and the MailerLite setup to basically integrate the ad with where it needs to be going. And once you have that, right, now you have your Facebook page set up and your Instagram. So your ad can be shown on Facebook and Instagram. People can opt in, they get redirected to your YouTube channel, and they get a welcome email that also again sends them to the channel and sends them the journal. Now you're basically building your list every day. Now we need to communicate with that audience. And I would use those daily looms, debriefing my day, capturing what I've learned to basically create the nurture email for them. And this is what I've shared in many videos before. This is a prompt that you just want to use with your loom and just say, I want to write a highly valuable, insightful nurture email for my newsletter subscribers. Please use my tone of voice and turn this brain dump into an email, including key takeaways, action steps, and a moral of the email subtly positioned at the end. This is the emails that I'd send them. And in the beginning, I would really try to send them every single day to create a connection. And I would use that email that is created as a basis to also create more YouTube content. And I wouldn't bother in the beginning that this has to be perfect. Shout out to my editor Benjamin. I absolutely love him. So grateful for him and how nice he makes those videos. But I also posted on YouTube like way before we had that, right? And it would still have that function of nurturing in the middle of the funnel, right? Because the way I approach YouTube content is we're not at this point where it's a top of funnel yet, right? Where it brings in a lot of new people. It already does, and it brought in a couple of mastermind members blindly who found the videos. So there's also a big argument for really nicely edited videos that build pain to your brand. But again, we're talking about just starting out from scratch. So you just really need to start getting uploaded and don't overthink it. So you would also want to use the nurture emails that it produces to create YouTube content. And here you can see, for example, yesterday for my business, I sent an email where I was basically explaining how to frame offers. The information that I worked out here from my Loom Ramble, I can turn this into a YouTube video script, right? And just walk people through that. And that long form piece of content I can send out in my next email that then is just a shorter email, capturing the essence of what I said in the YouTube video and sending people back to the video, right? So this nurture email prompt really goes a very, very long way. Also because we are going to use the content from this to repurpose into Facebook and Instagram posts. So I want to show you what I did on Instagram for the longest time before I had beautiful Tara creating these nice graphics for me. I would just take an image of myself. Let me find the last time when I did that. Yeah, here. I would take an image of myself. This is what I would post on Facebook. I would post the same content like I did in my emails, just not the hi there and the sign off, right? I would post that on Facebook. This is on your business page. You can also do it on your personal page. I screenshotted it. Oh, this I actually screenshotted even from the email. And then I just uploaded those slides here, right? And this was one of my best posts in terms of followers that I got from it. You would just want to, in those early stages, right? Don't overcomplicate it. Just make sure that there is content on your Instagram where people keep seeing your face, right? Because they need to make the connection, right? So it's great. People need to keep seeing your face in videos, in photos, on Facebook, on Instagram. Don't bother that it's the same content, right? So I would just blast it everywhere, just getting my message out there as I'm walking the talk. And this is exactly what I did in the beginning as well, before I could afford an editor, before I could afford a social media manager to make things even nicer, even prettier. And it still worked for me. Again, being resourceful for the stage of your journey. And then once I would see that things come in, like people start to ask questions under my post, people start to reply to my email, right? So there's more interest. I would start to make invitations with me using free themed calls. This is how I built up my initial coaching client base. I would give away free themed sessions. And so that was, hey, do you need help with your ad visuals? Jump on a call with me. I help you create the next visual for your next ad. Need help with your ad copy, right? I would do, hey, would you like a second opinion on your campaign that is currently running? Jump on a call with me. I analyze your ad account, right? I would have a funnel therapy session where it's like, hey, is your funnel not converting? I can jump on a call with you and I can look at the numbers and I can show you where you're bleeding people in your funnel so we can make a hypothesis about how to fix it. So I would make offers with different themed sessions and I would give them away for free, for a limited amount of time. So I would say things like, hey, I just had a couple of spots opening today. I have a little bit of time. Who wants to jump on a call, right? And I would also post that on Facebook and I would also post this in my Instagram stories. And these invitations to work with me eventually would result with people just casually jumping on a call with me. I help them out, right? And then I let them know, do you have still any questions? Are you good with that? And then they would typically say, it's like, so how does it work? Like, how can I work with you? And then I would just let them know my hourly rate first. Or they would just say, hey, thank you. And then a few days later, I would follow up and say, hey, I just wanted to know how you're getting along. Is there anything I can still help you with? And if they would, for example, say just thank you or yeah, thank you, it's going great, then I would say, oh, I'm so glad to hear that. I was just wondering if you could do me a quick favor and give me a quick testimonial about what the session with me was like. And typically people, if they were like good after the session, right? So then they would be happy to give me a testimonial. Most of them would come back and say, this is great, but now I'm having this problem, right? Or, hey, that was so helpful, but I was wondering, right? And so I would keep helping them. And then I would say, this actually is a bigger thing. It would be best solved on a session. And then they would say, oh, okay, so how much is the session? And that's how I got my first paid clients, right? And so I would do the same here. I would give away free sessions, not to get my first paid clients necessarily, although this did help me massively with ad spend in the beginning. But I would do those sessions so I can tune into and I can understand what words are they using, how are they talking about the problem as well, right? So I'm getting a lot of that when I'm doing research here for everything that feels important, because I will also join communities and I would also read comments under YouTube videos and I would read the captions, right? And I would read the questions that people have. So I'm consuming extremely consciously and really try to immerse myself into the language, right? I'm trying to learn the language of the people that I'm trying to help. But nothing accelerates you understanding this than helping somebody one-to-one on an actual call. So this is what I would first aim for. And then once I see that I have invitations to work with me, that I have testimonials I can share back with my email list. Once I have my own proof, right, and saying, look, I did this for so many days, right? And proof can just be, I don't need to send like a picture of, oh, this is how slim my waist is. Maybe I do that if I feel really good about myself, right? Or this is the physical progress, but it's like, hey, so I did eat like clean for so and so many days. Like, here's what I've learned. Here's what I feel like. It's this type of proof where it's like proof I did the work. That's also very, very compelling. Proof of consistency is very compelling, which is why sending those daily emails will really help you. Once I see that all of that starts to boil up, and you'll really see, like when you tune in, it has always been like that for me and the businesses I helped with. You'll see there is the void you're shouting into, right? And you don't feel anything. Then things start to come back and you're like, traction, there is something. If you pay attention, right? If you're grateful, if you're like, it's not going fast enough and this is not working and I should be doing something else with my time, the voice in your head will be so loud that you don't hear the progress, right? But if you're paying attention to it and you're waiting for the signs and you're appreciating every single like piece of interaction, and you're using every piece of interaction as a way to talk about it like enthusiastically, it's like, so I'm super excited because somebody replied to my email and they had this question. And so here is what I told them. That's becoming a positive upward reinforcing cycle of people wanting to be in your proximity and asking questions. Remember I offered those free sessions, so somebody jumped on. And so here's kind of a few takeaways after we talk that I think are really important for you. You keep doing this, you keep offering help, you keep giving help, you keep reporting from helping, you keep reporting from your own progress, and you have this positive progress loop going up, and people will notice. They notice your consistency, they notice there's progress, they'll start to pay attention, they'll start to reach out for help, they're rewarded for reaching out for help, more people reach out for help, and you see that it's like when you try to boil water, it will start to simmer. And that's the point when you see like it really starts to simmer. There is now audience build up, there's people reaching out to me, I'm doing work with people on a day-to-day basis. This is the point when I would make a beta program. And at this point, I would have the version of this offer refined to a point where I can send it out to my email list. And this is what I just did with my last program as well, right? But obviously you cannot compare it because I did have a warm audience and email list that trusted me. But I just sent out, so here's what I have in mind, right? And this was a longer program, so it's 222 before I made it 444, and you can join me here now. And so what I would then do next is I would sell this, and I would probably sell it for the price that I would later want to sell my membership for, right? So this should be eventually a standalone course that I want to use as a fast action bonus for the annual of my membership. So that's not the purpose of what I would want to do. When I roll this out as a beta program, I would do it for something like 22 a month, right? Because that's what I want the community to be priced after, right? So, and for those people, I would do like, this is a one-time payment of 22. This would be almost my founding members for this movement, because they'll be closely connected and support my cause. I would set it up in school because I can validate, right? I can use the 14-day free trial. So if really nobody signs up, nothing is lost. And I would build out the classroom already with those modules, right? That I have now refined over time, right? So with these kind of chapters that I've refined over time. And then I would deliver and create live with people in the following setup. I would have a training session. I would have a co-working or coaching session, me presenting content, me being on Zoom with people, talking to them, helping them, and then a Q&A session. That's how I would build it out. That's like a really solid trifecta of delivering things in a way that people get it. And this way, I would build out my whole content like I did in here, right? So slides are coming in, posts are coming in, the co-working is there, feedback is there. And I personally also love to do homework with giveaways, but that's completely optional. But this is how eventually you start to fill your community. And once that's done, or while that is getting done, I would still be on that path with my personal tracker. I would still be reporting, but now I'm not only reporting from the work that I do, or later on the work that I do with people, kind of helping them one to one, or replying to emails, or replying to social posts, or putting out videos. I would also start to talk about what we're doing in the program and keep making invitations to come in for the lifetime price before I turn it into an ongoing community, right? So I would keep pulling people into this beta program. And eventually, once I am done, right, I have delivered all of the lessons from the core content, I would then switch it, and I would switch it to the community with a monthly price. And I would do one time to my list a big promo where it's like, so we've been together for the last 12 weeks. Here's the things that we've been doing. Here's the results that people have been getting. Here's videos, what they're saying about it. Here's interviews, what they're saying about it, right? Here's what I've been doing for this whole time. This is what happened. So I would make like a full on proof-based launch into the community, and I would give one time the option to join for a discounted founding members rate. And all this time, right, while people are joining, I would have my conversion API integration set up. I have a video about that on my channel somewhere. So I collect purchase data, and once the founding members launch is over, the next thing I would try is to run a trial campaign directly to the community, right? So it's like, hey, just had our founding members launch. It's buzzing in here. This is the work we're doing. I would repurpose some of the proof to the front end, and I would say, you can now, for a limited time, use the trial to check out the community. So I would keep running ads to it. I would see if the ads directly work. And then I would do this probably for a month to really see how well it's going. And ultimately, if I see where's the sweet spot with my ads, like getting people in, I would try to turn off the trial and run ads directly to paid. And you can see the direct to paid ads that I have on my YouTube channel. In this video, I break down all of them. So I would try to run ads directly. And then I would see, based on the cost, right, and on the amount of members that we have, when is my time to switch to a waiting list, right? So I would probably let 4 to 6 weeks pass where I would try to directly promote the heck and grow the heck out of it. But long term, what I would want to do is I would want to switch to an almost evergreen workshop. So there's another video on my YouTube channel where I explained why and how I switched my community to a waitlist model, which is here. And this is long term so much more profitable because I'm now getting the same amount of members every month for a fourth of the ad spend, but I'm getting a lot more newsletter subscribers, right? So from a scaling perspective, long term, this is the better way to go. But I would implement that once I feel like I have critical mass of community, right? And it's really buzzing in there. And my brand starts to have a slight like lift for the ads. That's when I would then probably like 6-ish weeks after I did the initial founding members launch close, and I rolled out, ran the ads directly. Then the list, if I have been also keep running my lead generation campaign and kept nurturing, my list would be ready for another launch. And the closing door launch will get another injection of members from the email list before I'm closing to and switching to the waitlist model, which is really cool on School because you can directly DM people. And then I would just do my monthly almost evergreen workshop to enroll people from there. So that's the exact plan that I would follow if I was to create and grow and scale a paid membership and community in 2025. I hope you found this helpful.